50 years ago this month, some of the most dramatic and traumatic moments in American history took place, marking a political and cultural turning point for our nation.
Military aircraft evacuated South Vietnamese orphans and later the U.S. Embassy in Saigon in scenes of rooftop chaos and desperation that millions of Americans witnessed on their living room TVs. 17's Robert Price has the story.
The moment has faded from memory for a lot of Americans, if they were ever really aware of it, and if they were of a requisite level of awareness, they may have forgotten.
It was, after all, half a century ago, exactly half a century. The last U.S. military units had left Vietnam 2 years before, leaving the South Vietnamese army to defend what was left. In over a decade of fighting, some 58,000 U.S. troops had been killed, along with 200,000 South Vietnamese troops and more than 1 million North Vietnamese soldiers and Viet Cong irregulars. Civilian deaths approached 2 million. The war had divided the U.S. like no other conflict since the Civil War, and now it was ending before our eyes in televised pandemonium. Louis Vega, a semi-retired Kern County Superior Court judge, was a door gunner on an Army attack helicopter.
I'm glad I wasn't there. I just can't imagine feeling that impending doom and trying to get out of there, trying to be the last person out of there alive, and hearing the explosions of the oncoming North Vietnamese army. I mean, it was chaos. The last unit, the embassy guards, how they were stranded at the top of a roof and they weren't sure they were going to get out of there alive. So it was sad. It was sad to see what the war had come to, and all the money that we'd put into it, all the material, all the guys that lost their lives.
Ed Budney was a visual combat tracker, wounded 4 times on a mission 4 months into his deployment, twice by enemy fire, twice by friendly fire. The war's ignominious end stays with him.
Did we lose it? I think we all knew we could win. We weren't attacked. It's not like a 9/11 where we had to retaliate. Did we win? I don't know.
A sense of relief tempered the frustration for opponents of the war. Eddie Lane participated in protests.
Finally. It was a demonstration of the poor decision-making that our country engaged in for years and years.
Randa Hunter, who grew up in a conservative Bakersfield family, saw the carnage as clearly as might be possible for a 19-year-old girl.
We thought that the government knew what it was doing, stopping communism.
And then, 7 years later, the chaotic pullout.
The city of Saigon was renamed today.
I thought of the soldiers that were left in Afghanistan and the screaming and yelling in the States, and I thought, well, I think you need to play back what happened when we left Vietnam. If you want to see chaos, if you want to see families chasing airplanes, begging to get on a plane, throwing their kids onto a C-51A cargo plane to get out of there, or taking helicopters and pushing them off aircraft carriers because they didn't have any room, that's chaos. That was abandonment. Look at the mistakes that have happened. Let's not repeat them.
In Bakersfield, Robert Price, 17 News.